Good morning. My name is the Rosie Rose, and I hope you are having a fantastic Monday. I hope you're starting the week off strong. I hope you are hitting your goals and your dreams, and whatever you're doing, I hope you are doing and having a good morning. See, I mess up sometimes, and it's okay. But today we have Caley joining us. She's a sober blogger, a coach. Caley is an advocate for those who are unable to fight for themselves. She also advocates for sobriety, recovery, healing, and teen education, which I love how her and her family are able to talk about alcohol, sex, anything with them. And they are great parents. They are setting up examples for all of us on how we should talk with our kids about anything and everything, having those uncomfortable conversations. So today I am waiting for Haley to join. Oh, I see her. Caley, sorry. Let me grab her in real quick. All right. Hi, Caley. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. I'm so happy to be able to talk to you today because I love what you're putting out there on the online world. I love how you and your family talk to your kids about sex, alcohol, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about yourself? A little bit about so the audience can get to know you a little bit better?
So my name is Caley. I am a wife and mother of 3, and I am also a recovered alcoholic.
Recovered alcoholic. And I just seen your post that it has been 2 years since you've been sober. Or no, it's 2 years since you hit rock bottom.
Today, 2 years ago, was actually the last time that I drank ever. So tomorrow is 2 years sober.
2 years sober, yeah. And so what led you to stop drinking altogether?
Honestly, I knew that I had a problem for a really long time, and it took truly hitting a very deep rock bottom and hurting somebody that I loved dearly for me to finally have the courage and a reason to get sober.
So, because I can relate because I used to drink back when I was younger, and every time I would drink, I would wake up the next morning and feel so guilty and ashamed. Mm-hmm. Like, what did I do? What did I say to this person? Like, I felt like it was out of my character when every time I drink. So it was like, I didn't like that feeling.
Yeah.
I didn't like that feeling.
I get it. I had been there for a really long time. It had gotten to the point where it just became the norm for me, though. That feeling was better to me than feeling all of the insufficiencies and pain that I felt that I held onto for the longest time. So the alcohol numbed that, and then waking up with those exact same feelings, the hangovers, the guilt, the, oh my gosh, I can't remember what I did or said last night, just became the norm. So
Oh, wow. And what was your how did you overcome that?
So for me, I had actually spent about 1.5 years convincing myself that I needed to get sober. Mm-hmm. I tried a minimum of 6 times to get sober. It took hitting rock bottom. The person I hurt was my husband, Travis. I went out and I got really drunk, and I came home and I said really terrible things, and he just kind of loved me through it. And the next day, realizing that my trying to numb myself from everything that I had been through in life and the things that I was feeling, that I was living a life out of fear of other people's judgment, and I numbed myself with alcohol, and realizing that I wasn't just hurting myself anymore, I had hurt somebody else, was when I realized that I needed to turn that around. And when I first got sober, it was not for me. I would have continued to drink so that I didn't have to face my fears rather than go through all of the hard things. So when I first got sober, it was for everybody else. It was for Travis. It was for my kids. It was for everybody around me. And to just kind of, it was honestly in fear of judgment because now people knew I had a problem. And so I needed to do something about it. And then it turned into doing it for myself, doing it because I felt better. I was healthier. I was more patient. I was more loving. I had been in a deep depression for so many years because of my alcohol use that I finally started slowly coming out of because I wasn't drinking. So I wasn't being depressed by that toxic chemical, and realizing that I had so much more life to live was what really turned it around for me. And then beyond that, the final realization was realizing that not only could I have confidence and love myself, but I needed to do it for other people as well. Live, recover out loud to encourage other people so that they could live a life like I was.
Oh, I love how you said recover out loud because
Yeah.
like what you've been through, because for me, my husband is an alcoholic. So he's been sober for, 5, 6 years now. So before dating him, I didn't know what an alcoholic was or how they, I didn't know. So that was my experience into being being with somebody that's alcoholic, and him going through AA, through personal development, developing himself was like, oh, there's so much stories about that. It makes me want to cry just because how I had to support him through that journey. And so I couldn't change him. I couldn't change him at all. But for him changing how what you did, you're changing for yourself and for people around you that, I'm sorry.
No, you're
but
good.
And so what were your steps of like, okay, you realized that you had a problem. Yeah. So did you have help in overcoming that, or what kind of did you go to like an AA program or?
So like I said, I knew that I had had a problem for a really long time. The one thing I never did was tell anybody else. So admitting that when I woke up the next morning after my last night of drinking and coming to my husband and saying like, I'm an alcoholic and I need help was like the first step, was saying it out loud to somebody else. The weight that was lifted off of me was huge. And then he actually connected me with one of his good friends who had been sober for I think it was like 5 or 6 years at the time. And I talked to him about options, and he recommended starting with an all women's AA group. So that is what I did. I started my sober journey by going to AA, and I actually went 1 to 2 times a week right up until COVID shut everything down. And and then all of those meetings were closed. And that's when I started searching more online on social medias and things like that. Because when I first got sober, I couldn't find anybody to relate to. When I first started going to AA, the meeting was all women who were like 70 plus years old. And then the second meeting I found was they were still a lot of older women. I couldn't find any younger women, Christian women, women with young kids and families. And so I started searching online and I found some really awesome groups. And that's kind of when I realized like, I struggled so hard to find somebody to connect to. I needed to put myself out there to be that person for somebody else. How fair is that to just be like, man, well, I couldn't find anybody. Now I'm good. So, okay. And then putting myself out there so that even if it's one person who finds me and is like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone, that's a win. Huge win.
Oh, it is a huge win, because when I start, following you, I'm like, what? Your journey? Because I think you are the first person that is talking recovering out loud on social media that I met, because, so when you were drinking back then, were you drinking like every day or like every weekend? How did it start?
So when it first started, I actually started drinking when I was 15. It was like shortly before my 16th birthday that I was introduced to alcohol, and I realized that it was a way for me to be a better version of myself because I felt so free. I didn't feel all of the insecurities and pains that I felt that I was having. And then, so back then, probably up until I was about 21, 22, it was more of a drink when I could, and I binged the entire time. I never had an off. It was pedal to the metal, drank as much as I could. And then it slowly progressed as our family went through some things. Probably in about 2016, 17 was when it progressed to a more of like everyday drinking.
Nope, I can't hear you. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. Oh, I can't hear you no more. Okay, you're back.
Okay. But yeah, so it became like an everyday thing, and then it became something that I put all of my effort into hiding because I couldn't go a day without drinking by the end.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And so what was your first step? Okay, your first step was admitting that you had a problem, and then you found a group to go to. And then what are other steps that helped you overcome this?
Hold on 1 second. I'm getting rid of this call. It was honestly a lot of like self-development and reading. Like I love that. Just having routines. One of the biggest things that honestly got me through when I first started getting sober and going through everything was even when I was at the peak of my addiction, we had started a morning routine, and having that morning routine just kind of sets my day up for success. If anybody hasn't read The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, highly recommend it. But that was a huge piece of it. And then just self-development in general, getting into books that, not only books that had to do with addiction and people overcoming, but just books on how to help other people, how to start investing in other people, how to invest in my family and myself. And that was like, I would say that's the number one thing that has helped me develop to where I am today.
So I'm actually reading The Miracle Morning right now. So what is your morning routine?
So, we get up at 5 o'clock every morning, just kind of get ready for basically a workout, come downstairs, have some water, make my coffee, and then I will sit down and read. I will read about either 15 minutes or 10 pages in my book, depending on the type of book. Some are harder to read than others. And then I will journal and read my Bible, and then get a good workout in, and then have breakfast and get ready for the day. It'll vary, but that's the basics of it.
Yeah. And how long have you been doing this morning routine?
Since 2016. So
2000. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And so when you said that you were drinking and to numb the pain,
yeah,
can you dive in a little bit deeper into that?
Yeah. So when I was 15, I got into, so I grew up Catholic. And when I was 15, I got into a lot of trouble, and I felt so much shame and judgment, and just, I started living in fear of that judgment from other people, from the way that I was treated. And so I started living my life that way. I decided what to wear based on what I thought other people would think. I did and said things based on what other people would think. I completely lost my identity in that. And so it was just that lack of confidence and lack of self. And I felt like when I was drinking, I was myself. I was somebody that people liked being around. I was fun. I was outgoing. And it just took away that anxiety, that depression, that fear. And so that's kind of where it started. And then certain things in my life happened, and each time it kind of just progressed from there.
Oh, wow. And so what are some of your tools that you use to heal the pain, the numbness? What are some tools that that helped you?
Yeah. So honestly, for me, when I first got sober, I didn't even realize, I hadn't recognized or admitted why I was drinking in the first place. So the biggest thing for me was truly finding the root cause. I hadn't talked about a lot of the things that had happened to me ever. It was probably about a year ago now that I even talked about those things with my husband. And so letting those things out, getting to the root cause of the reason why you're drinking, and kind of healing from that. That was the number one thing, was talking about it, being open about it, and allowing myself to kind of relive it and then heal from it. And it, like, telling myself, my past does not define me. I am a completely different person today, and I'll be a different person tomorrow and 6 months from now, because I'm constantly growing. So that's one of the things, just a positive mindset for sure. And affirmations, like, on that. I don't think that you need to, personally, I don't need to sit there and like tell myself the same thing every day, but affirming yourself in the fact that you're growing, that you're constantly changing. And even if you do something today that you're not happy with, if it's, you're trying to fix your drinking or your patience or anything, and you have a slip up, it doesn't matter, because tomorrow you can be a better person than you were today. You're constantly growing and changing. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, because even if I have a bad day, one, I know I don't want to go back, but two, I know tomorrow can be better.
That is so huge, so touching, and very, very inspiring, because all of us, we all have some kind of trauma or issue or problem from like childhood. And it's going back to like, what is the root of the problem? Why am I drinking so much? Why am I doing this? And for you to overcome that and get to the root cause and to feel that pain again and to heal from it. To me, healing is huge. That is where a lot of my breakthroughs and finding myself came from, is healing through the past trauma and pain. Caley, your story is amazing. I mean, like,
well, that's the thing with a big piece of it too. You're constantly posting about and sharing reels and things like the whole life wellness. It's not just about, what I'm doing. It's about what I'm putting in and on my body, what I'm thinking, what I'm taking in. And it's huge. You have that part of it down. Like, that's a big thing. Like, it's not just about what I'm doing. It's not always alcohol either. Like you said, we all have things from our past that, cause us to live life in a way that we're not meant to. It's not getting us towards fulfilling our purpose. And I think that having that whole life wellness and being aware of it.
You got cut off there for a minute. You got muted. So, yeah. Oh my gosh. Amazing. So, do you have any final words for, anybody listening that maybe is struggling through, trying, like, they want to quit alcohol, but don't know how? Or maybe this might be, this might trigger a person that, I don't know if that's the right word or not, but this subject here is people don't talk a lot about this. And I love that you are coming out and speaking about it, recovering out loud, because we need more of this people showing up, because the world really needs us to heal, to be better, okay, I'm sorry. My mind is like all over, but
I'm with you.
Do you have any final thoughts for anybody that's watching that is struggling to overcome this, or how can they find help? Where do they start? I don't know. So
no, honestly, my husband says this and it comes off almost as harsh, but we need to realize that as unique as we are not unique. And there's somebody else out there who has gone through the same thing or something extremely similar as you, and realizing that you are not alone in your struggle is the number one thing. That was what held me back for so long, was thinking that I was alone. This was me personally. Nobody else has ever been through this. Nobody else would understand, and they're going to judge me for it. You are not alone, and you are so worthy of everything that you have coming in life, all your purpose, and just so many good things. And I think that just being aware of that and knowing that you can do anything if you put in the work and the effort, it's there. And like, the good is just waiting for you. It's out there, and you just have to want it. You just have to go after it. Take that first step. That's all it takes.
Kylie, my heart is smiling right now. This is amazing. And you guys, this so good. Um, I got to just take a moment right here just because of what you said. This, your message, your story is so powerful. And especially with, people can relate because you're younger, like we're young and everybody, all ages are right now are healing, overcoming something. And for you to share your experience, I know is going to empower somebody else to overcome it. So you guys, she is doing such an amazing job online, a sober blogger, a coach. If you need any help, please reach out to her. If you click that little button on top there, you could hit follow, and she has amazing reels. And I am just so grateful that I get to talk to you to hear more about your story, your journey, and what you're putting out there.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
This was amazing. So thank you. And you guys, check her out. She's amazing. And I cannot wait to hear more of your stories. I'm learning about when you share stuff about what you're going through from the alcohol, and like I can relate to it because like,
yeah,
I've been there. I was like,
yeah,
oh,
I think a lot of people have. I think that a lot of people have been there, or they're going through it and they don't know it yet.
yes. And you shine a light on that, and you do it so beautifully. So I just want to give it up to you, and I cannot wait to see your growth. And oh my gosh, hugs to you.
Thank you. You too.
Well, thank you for coming on, and you guys go check out Caley. She's amazing, and I hope to talk to you soon again.
Oh yeah, definitely.